Racism and Misogyny Republic. Ayanna Pressley, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who is leading the charge to investigate the postponement of the redesign of the $20 bill that was to feature the likeness of famed abolitionist Harriet Tubman, blasted the Treasury Department this weekend after a new report revealed the redesign plans were much farther along than was previously known. The redesign was abruptly when, in testimony before the House Financial Services Committee, Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin claimed his department had decided to focus on issues of counterfeiting and security and leave the redesign of the $20 bill to a future administration. The New York Times on Friday obtained an internal conceptual secretary. The release of the conceptual design suggests that plans to redesign the bill were well underway beyond what was disclosed to Pressley at the May hearing. The Times report, a former director of the Bureau told The Times that any new security measures should be done hand in hand with a redesign, as the two aspects of a bill are not mutually exclusive. Pressley responded earlier this month to Mnuchin's testimony in a letter to his office demanding an explanation as to the timeline for the Treasury Department's decision. The original plan, the Congresswoman has made a point to highlight the importance of representation on U.S. currency and tried to pin down Mnuchin during his testimony about whether he, too, felt it was important that currency reflect the diversity of America. Yes, the secretary responded when asked if, in American politics and imagery, he thought representation was important. But he declined to. Pressley and many of her Democratic colleagues have found Mnuchin's reasoning and his explanation for the timeline suspicious, and they are seeking to better understand why a redesign now revealed to be partially completed could have been so suddenly put on hold.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.